21 years and more. How did you come to this decision of stepping down from Khaitan Company?
I pretty much was so keen on picking that firm that for me, Khaitan joining was only a 6-month sort of a makeshift arrangement.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that, 6 months nikalna hai, aur uske baad to I have to anyways move to this other firm. And that's how I actually with the mindset joined the firm. I had the benefit of being homegrown, having seen up and close, and I was always working beyond just matters.
Becoming a partner or an equity partner at the age of 28 was more of an organic milestone.
That I think it was easier for somebody like me to become a partner back then versus today. If you were to ask me, people just slog it out.
Do you think listening to your heart has benefited you more?
You should listen to your heart, but you have to prepare thoroughly well.
This episode is about someone जो सिर्फ 28 साल की उम्र में एक equity partner बना है in India's premier law firm, which has about 1,300 lawyers today. He helped in the management of the firm and he was an expert in corporate M&A and private equity. पर आप सोच रहे होगे ये तो एक standard success story है, but ये एक story underdog की है. Someone who thought he's an underdog. But in reality, he reached the top like nobody else. इस episode में we will talk about his 21-year long journey and what does his next chapter look like. We also talk about the real life skills that a corporate lawyer in India needs to have, must have to reach the top. And lastly, how he converted his personal battle into a battle of conversation with people and how to come out of the deepest, darkest problems in your life which a lawyer will face. ये conversation बहुत ही honest है, बहुत ही authentic है, and for me, it was life-changing. Please do watch this episode, not just because you want to be a lawyer or you want to become a very successful person, but also to understand sometimes life में एक price आपको देना पड़ता है and sometimes उस प्राइस से आप बाहर कैसे आते हो. दिस इज़ ऑनेस्ट जर्नी ऑफ समवन हु शोज़ रेजिलियंस एंड कैरेक्टर एंड इट्स माई हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट कि आप लोग इस एपिसोड को वॉच करिए, बहुत सारे नोट्स लिखिए एंड शेयर इट विद पीपल टू स्प्रेड द अवेयरनेस. थैंक यू सो मच एंड दिस इज़ बियॉन्ड बिलेबल्स. Welcome Aakash to this episode of Beyond Billables. 21 years and more, perhaps counting. How did you come to this decision of stepping down from Khaitan Company?
So first of all, Rohan, thank you for having me. You're doing a terrific job of, getting more insight into what goes beyond it. So first compliments to you for all the terrific work that you're doing here.
My pleasure.
I think as we'll have through the conversation, life happens in a way that's bound to go to a particular path. And I think that's the reason that, after so many years, I've sort of finally chosen and decided to go where I'm going.
तो आकाश, आपकी जर्नी कैसे स्टार्ट हुई? I know you were the first campus recruit for Khaitan. So take me back to 2004.
Got it. Interestingly, Rohan, I think it also goes back to how I started the profession of law.
Please.
So let me take you back to, in fact, 99. And my father was a professor and he was extremely bullish on how the law schools are coming up. And at that time, only National Law School University in Bangalore had come up. Bhopal was the one where I graduated, was the second university, and then Nalsar was about to come. And I wanted to pursue something else altogether. And my father was very keen that I should take up. And, most of the time, I don't know about you, but you listen a lot to, what parents really guide you. So that's how it started out.
Yeah.
And as years progressed, the usual law school pressure of finding a good job, and you had a handful of 3 or 4 firms. So you were just, everyone is eyeing for those, 10, 15 slots. And by the time, I think April of 2004, we finished our 5 years of law. I didn't have a job by then. There were few firms which were come to our campus and they didn't show up. And one of the firms was Khaitan. And they sent another list pretty much on like 30th of April, last day. And they said, okay, these 5 people I'm okay to interview if they're interested. And we didn't have a choice. In fact, that's what we wanted to, get to. And I quickly, gave the interview. They just made an offer to me, and
you were part of those 5 people in the list.
I was part of the 5 people in the list, and I got that. And not that I have too many options at back then, so it was not a problem of plenty. It was the only offer I had, so that's how I joined.
Opportunity of few.
Absolutely, and more interestingly, I also did not know there was this huge confusion among the number of Khaitan firms were there, both in Delhi and in Mumbai. So if you were to ask me which Khaitan, I did not know. Bunch of time, my parents and for a number of years, our acquaintance were also confused. Is it the fan company? It's law firm. Which law firm? So, it was a very interesting initial few years.
And then what happened? Any specific memory aapko yaad aati hai about the interview that made it different, that maybe you also decided that this is a right fit, or kuch completely alag thinking thi?
No, it's interview mein to nahi hua, but few things happened. So there's this very, very good large firm, and that was the only premier firm back in 2000, which was a more modern firm. So I had interviewed with that firm as well, and one of the partners who were on the panel, they said, we're pretty full on the slot, but if you were to apply to us 6 months from now, maybe they said it only to keep me afloat, but if you were to apply to us 6 months in advance later on, we will take you. And I pretty much was so keen on picking that firm that for me, Khaitan joining was only a 6-month sort of a makeshift arrangement.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that, 6 months nikalna hai, aur uske baad to I have to anyways move to this other firm. And that's how I actually with the mindset joined the firm. And 3-4 months into having joined Khaitan, I used to keep talking to my sister, who also had graduated just around the time I had graduated. She also did her law, and she was working in another firm. And I would keep telling her that, Didi, this offer they've told me, so I'll have to apply. But I genuinely enjoy working at this place. And this firm is nowhere close to the premier firm, which was my go-to firm. But I'm really in that, whether I should pursue the firm that I really want to join, or I should be here where I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. And it was actually on my sister's guidance that she said that, it's very difficult to find a place where you will like it. And the compensation also was huge. The difference was a tremendous difference. And it was actually my sister who said that if you're really liking this place, I don't think you should pursue it. And I sort of stayed on and never reapplied to that firm. So that's the only, I would say, the tidbit I can give you.
So can I say, Aakash, that perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, you chose heart over money at that point of time?
Which Ron, you're absolutely right, and which has been largely the case in my entire career.
Wow.
And I would say that this opportunity, then later when I was about to get married, I had a very, very significant firm gave me an offer to move to Delhi. The Bombay versus Delhi life also was very different. And I had done internships in Delhi, loved the city, the greenery. Everyone had a car, unlike Bombay, which you would mostly, use the public transport. So I was very fascinated. And again, the compensation difference, in initial years, money is one of the significant motivators. Till the time you realize what really you want. And the peer pressure is so immense that a lakh here and there, or even a 10,000 here and there, can make decisions go extremely blurry. So, that again, something I had an offer, I almost gave in. I was about to get married. So, I'd looked up a house in Delhi. I thought of a great car in Delhi. The employer that I was talking to, they made all the promises about, getting your, kids to a better school than what the Bombay schools are. So, it was all pumped. And again, and this was almost 3 or 4 years into Khaitan. And again, I finally thought that, the kind of people I'm working with, I should rather stay with that. So, in my life, it's usually heart that really decides what I want to do. But each to his own.
Although मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन एंड में पूछना चाह रहा था, but you give me the hook for it. In your case only, do you think listening to your heart has benefited you more than just logic? Because on one hand, I see आप बोल रहे हो कि there is the importance of money,
Right.
which can really be a big determinator for someone who's in the first to 10-year period of their journey.
Sure.
On the other hand, you have just the heart,
Right.
जिसमें there is no logic. Many people would tell you, maybe शायद कहा भी होगा कि आकाश आप बहुत बड़ी बेवकूफ़ी कर रहे हो,
Right.
बहुत बड़ी गलती कर रहे हो.
Right.
So in this, in your personal life, would you say that listening to your heart has made all the difference to where you are today?
So, Rohan, yes and no. I, at least from my lived experience, can tell you that you should listen to your heart, but you have to prepare thoroughly well for the stage for the, listen to your heart. So if you just listen to your heart without applying the logic of something, you may not do it. So let's take that, what I'm intending to do now. I think I have prepped for it for last 15-20 years to come to this. So yes, I'm listening to my heart. I'm moving on from a great firm. I just love the firm and the people, and it's a big give. The opportunity cost is tremendous, but I think I've been preparing for it over a period of time to come to it. So yes, I'm listening to my heart, but I think one should listen to the heart, but some logic, sense, and some groundwork must be done.
So my takeaway is you should utilize both your brain and your heart together.
Totally.
Rather than purely mind पे rely करो या solely heart पे rely करो.
Absolutely.
Where chances of making a mistake is too high.
I agree. Completely agree.
तो इसी के बाद, but before I go on to your next venture, I'm very excited to know. I have some hints about it.
Right.
But मुझे आपसे जानना है, आपका biggest high point क्या था in your 21-year journey? I know आप at the age of 28, if I'm not mistaken, you became or you were promoted to an equity partner.
Right.
How did that happen? I mean, आज के time पे तो it's unreal, right?
Yeah. Rohan, what happens that in when you're articulating on pen and paper, or you're giving, let's say, writing in your sheets or LinkedIn, a lot of times you pep it up in a manner that it seems big, but frankly, if you contextualize it for the time, place, and where I was working, I think it was more organic. Khaitan Co was still a relatively newer firm. Not that we had no talent, but there was a dearth of talent as compared to many larger Mumbai and Delhi-based firms. I had the benefit of being homegrown, having seen an up and close, and I was always working beyond just matters. So I was heavily involved right from my second, third year in lots of firm development initiatives. So I kind of, was bringing a lot to the table. So I would say that it was, if you were to think about it, is 28 in today's time an equity partner, then it sounds very large. And I think I should talk to about the pros and cons of making partner early, as against that time, which was still doable. In fact, I wanted to become a partner much sooner because there were two or three very competent lawyers who had become partners in 5 to 6 years in some other firms. So my goalpost was something else altogether. I was actually delayed and I was very, very upset about it. But in the hindsight, I think all of that was all wrong. And it was just tremendous pressure I brought onto myself and a number of people around me.
So for my understanding, that point of time, we had big firms like Amarchand Mangaldas was already there. Trilegal, which is another premier law firm in India, was also there. Khaitan Co, I think, was on the rise,
right?
I believe. And number 4, JSA would also be there at that point of time.
That's correct.
So you are saying at that point of time, becoming a partner or an equity partner at the age of 28 was more of an organic milestone.
Yeah, I would say that, in each of these firms, and these are all great firms, and and all of them have great partners. So I'm not for a minute bringing down how tough it is to become a partner. So it is a tough metric to reach. And partners, even at that point in time, whoever has reached those levels have worked extremely hard to get there. And frankly, reaching to partnership is just not a element of hardship and a lot of hard work, but there are many pluses that come around with it. So all of that I agree. But yes, in a way, that I think it was easier for somebody like me to become a partner back then versus today. If you were to ask me, people just slog it out and they forget about everything that they really want to pursue for that partnership. And I think that's something which all the firms really need to think about, and how to approach people and the pressure that is creating on the entire ecosystem.
No, I agree. And I think that's the segment that we'll dive into today also deeply. But to understand a little bit of your journey, Aakash, as well, you said you had an ambition that you wanted to become a partner sooner. Was there some goal setting that you did for yourself? Yeah, apne just mentally you made a commitment that this is where I want to head.
Yeah. So Rohan, like I told you, मुझे तो lawyer बनना नहीं था. My mother was a judge in the district court, and my entire childhood, and we were two siblings. So my school will be the morning shift, and my sister's school will be the afternoon shift. So by the time I will come home, my mother will be in the court. So at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock every day, after being dropped from the bus stop, I would go and sit in her chambers till about 4 or 5. And I had seen so much of district court, and you're talking of the 90s district court, that law is the last thing you want to, once you have lived 5, 7, 8 years in the district court for most of your childhood. So I never wanted to become that. Once I became that, I think the question was that this is what you have, so you have to just do it your best. And in a way, my mother tricked me into some of this. So one story she said was, one saying of Harivansh Rai Bachchan, that man ka ho to acha aur na ho to aur bhi acha. So that was ingrained कि तुम्हारे हिसाब का नहीं हुआ तो जो भी है और भी अच्छा होगा. It'll even best. So it's like, fine, I'll follow. The other thing she told me, I think from my 11th, 12th, was the story of Subhash Chandra Bose. And the story that how his father wanted him to become Indian civil servant, and he gave the examination, came All India 4th, 5th, and never joined because he wanted to really join the Indian freedom movement. So he said, just imagine they did it for the parent, you must do it and then pursue it. So this is how I got tricked. So in a way, these are the things which, I kept me going at that stage. And I got very focused for a fairly long period of time that this is what I have and I need to just maximize it and then bring my best self to what I am doing at that stage. It means early partnership. It means a lot of success. It means a lot of, relative wealth. So all of that happened. But the motivation was twofold. One motivation was to really prove to me that I am not that bad, and it comes, it comes later in my life when I realized what was happening with me. And the second was I had absolute love and passion for where I was working. And it's a pure underdog story. So it was the other thing that, kept me going, that, this is something I really need to contribute to. So these were the only two things that drove me at that stage. Yeah.
Wow, it's extremely inspiring to actually see that. But if I can decode this, because I would want whoever's watching, any lawyer, any founder, any student, ki unknowingly or maybe in a systematic way, you followed, I think, couple of principles of goal setting. One, you got subconscious programming through your mother,
right?
which we're calling a trick. Two, you had a very clear sight of where you want to go.
Sure.
Because what I see today is that many people broadly know what they want. They just say, I want to be a good lawyer. Right. But you had your eye on the target that this is what I want to do. And third, kahin na kahin aapki bahut zyada, which I can feel it now, a very strong drive for it.
Right.
Ye drive kahan se aayi?
I think drive, Rohan, I don't know. I think it's a function of, I would say that it's a function of the circumstances around you. At times, and I'm sure that you would have seen, Rohan, in your class, and I've seen it right from my school days, that at times not the brightest of the kids would end up doing exceedingly well. and sometimes very average students who are not really getting those grades end up doing something else. So I'm not saying that in the usual context of success parameter you can raise it, that okay, this person is doing etc., but it's relative to each life's journey. And I think people are generally driven and passionate. It's just that sometimes they find the right spot to show and demonstrate their passion, and sometimes the passion lies somewhere else altogether, which they're yet to realize, and we end up occasionally judging them that this person does not has that passion or drive, because that drive or passion lies somewhere else. They're yet to realize it, and we are just in a way
judging them in a wrong situation.
Yes, absolutely, because perhaps that's not their calling and they're yet to realize it. They're just doing for something else. And typically in a law firm environment, I can tell you that 4 of us will stand and say that इसमें तो drive नहीं है,
exactly.
And let's talk of his performance or her performance appraisal, but then it's personal to that person that वो actually drive नहीं है या उसे कुछ और पसंद है जो realize आज नहीं किया है, करा नहीं है, and could be a lot of life situations there. So I think sorry, I'm not giving the straight answer, but I think everyone has drive. It's just that they need to find what motivates them.
So let me ask you that question, because you left me on a cliffhanger. What's next after Khaitan? Where does your passion lie now?
My passion actually lies. So there were 2 things I wanted to do, Rohan, when I was Actually, there was one which I wanted to do right from the time I have any memory of my childhood. I actually wanted to become a movie director. वो तो बस निकल चुकी है.
Never say never.
तो वो स्किल सेट तो अब नहीं आने वाला मेरे हिसाब से. I've not prepped for it. But the other, I really thoroughly enjoyed management generally, and I always wanted to pursue management. I love working with people. I actually love working with younger people, to be precise. So that's what I really want to pursue. And there are 2 sort of larger projects that I want to run with. One project I feel that, and I don't know, it'll come perhaps second in my sequence of preference, but I want to simplify life of lawyers in large law firms. I think 70-80% of the time that lawyers end up spending in their work time is only administrative or process. And the love for law, the reason for they join law school, I think gets lost very quickly. And it's the tiredness, mundaneness, fatigue that draws them out of the profession. And I think it's a great profession for you to be even a great citizen. Leave aside everything else, the typical success parameters. I think we need to have a solution where large law firms, and I'm saying that it could be professionally managed, it could be family run, does not matter. But every large law firm needs to solve for it. So that's my priority number 2. My priority number 1 is something which sits between, I would say, fitness and technology. And what I am right now exploring is a way to understand more work around movement of, the science of movement and mobility. And both for non-elite athletes, people like you and me who are not, going for elite performance. So a lot of information and data really rests with your lower part of your body, including even for neurologists, dementia patients also have early signs come through how their knees and their legs are moving. So both for non-elite athletes and for elder care, I want to do something around it. So that's really my project number 1. I don't know from there to actual product stage. I think it is going to be a very complicated journey, but that's what I'm pursuing right now.
Wow. And can I say कि ये जो आपको ideas आए हैं और इस field में that you want to focus, is that also because of your experience and journey while being a lawyer over the last 20 years that this got evolved into this project?
Most definitely. I think it was a culmination of all my experience over the years. You're absolutely right. I would say a large part would be, of course, I think love for my parents as well. And one of the toughest part is to see your parents age. And that's and life is such, I mean, it's just a reality. Everyone's parents age, but can you give them longevity. If they are, like to walk till the age of 75 or 80, can you make it 84? Can you make it 85? And can you do some bells and whistles around it? So that's, I think,
And
one.
can you make the journey smoother?
Smoother,
Just
absolutely,
smoother.
absolutely. And usually, if you take it, some of the developed economies, people dying of fall is a lot more than dying of road accidents.
Yeah.
So elder care is a big issue to solve for, and longevity in athletes is again a huge issue to solve for. And I think we should do some deep work around it. So yes, and again, this is also my journey of going through tons of things to reach to a stage where I think physical well-being and mental well-being are very, very important for a good life. So I think both are towards life solutions.
Wow. This actually takes me to our next segment. But before that, I can understand why elder care is important.
Right.
But why focus on non-elite athletes or athletes for that matter?
Sure.
Koi personal connection aapka, some story that comes out?
See, personal connection, Rohan, is that I think again comes from the profession we are coming from. I realized pretty late, and by that time, a lot of damage had done to me as a person, that we abuse our bodies disproportionately as lawyers. I think any form of consulting work is tough. So management consulting is tough.
Yeah.
Law firm consulting is tough. Services business like hotels is tough. I think I would equate hotel business, the front offices, and the law firms both almost at the same pedestal.
Yeah.
And consulting, management consulting still gets a weekend off, and they end up going to private equity firms and other places where it become the decision maker. But a law firm partner, associate, lawyer life is never in their control. And especially in the formative years, I think the worst years are these 22, 23 till about 31, 32, where a lot of work comes your way. You have late night eating. You also don't know any other way because we're not socialized to be in very outdoorish society. So the downtime we get, उसमें पिज्जा आएगा, बर्गर आएगा, रात में लेट खाओगे, आपका लंबा चलता रहेगा, रेड बुल आएगा, of course, so all these adds up, and that's a cycle that everyone pretty much I know, unless people are very alert, and I find them like a percentage. I don't know about where in your experience, but I find them very rare.
You're true. Absolutely right.
To see that, and I went through that journey myself, and that physical goes to a number of other places which can be very tough to come out for. And I think for me, mental well-being is something I tremendously believe it. But the path to mental well-being also has a very important hook is which is physical well-being, which are both equally important, if not one not more than the other.
Wow. This takes me to our next segment on mentorship. You just said, Abhi, ki you really like working with young people.
Sure.
And I've read a lot of your posts, and maybe मैं post नहीं बोलूँगा, मैं आपके thoughts बोलूँगा.
Right.
Your thoughts about Mr. Hegreev Khaitan,
right,
mentoring you along the way. How did that mentorship journey start for you?
I think it started, one, I really thank my stars for making me meet people who had extreme positive contribution in my life. So Hegreev is one of them. There are a number of other people who have contributed in my life in a meaningful way. But I think with Hegreev, and Hegreev, maybe if I was to say that he just in a way represent a huge set of people at the firm who have similar value system. And that similar value system includes humility. I will give you a small example. For instance, let's say you're negotiating a deal and you've showed up, and the other side's lawyer is not an equal team. You have come out with all guns blazing. And you have the other side lawyer who may be a younger partner, or at times in earlier days, even associates would come and show up.
Yeah.
I think these are small things which matter, but in our firm, we were taught that if the counterparty is not looking as strong, you have to treat them with respect, not to ever make the person, the client's interests are paramount, but don't make it personal. Don't make it so aggressive that the person has a bad impact or bad experience. These are small things. So I think just mutual respect, how to manage people around you. And it's easier to say that law firms and practices are a lot of teamwork, but it's really tough to build teams. And for somebody to actually be a leader, to understand what's happening, you need a very high EQ. And I think that muscle got built with who, kind of people I worked with. And then, of course, in my post, whenever I feel very strongly, I write it. I write still lesser, but whenever I feel very strongly, only then I write. So yeah.
What do you look for in a mentor? Let's say if there's a young lawyer, and I'm asking this because I keep getting these questions on LinkedIn as well. Sir, we need a mentor. I'm a first generation lawyer. मेरे पास कोई guidance नहीं है. मुझे पता नहीं how to apply, where to apply. All sorts of questions are there. So what should one look for a mentor? And second, आपसे follow up question मैं अभी पूछ रहा हूँ. How can someone get access to a mentor who is beneficial to them? You are saying stars lucky, but if someone was to go about it in a strategic way,
right,
then how does one do it?
Good. So Rohan, I completely with you. Legal profession to apprenticeship ही model है. There's mentorship comes. It's a heart of how, we're always mentored. If you go to, doing litigation work, you are going to get mentored. That's how you're going to, and the debate about, why should I pay you for actually joining my chamber is a classic debate, because ultimately you are getting mentored. So there's a value, but that's a completely flawed argument altogether. And that's my personal view. Yeah. So, don't hold me to it. But mentorship is quite critical to lawyers generally. So you need a good mentor. I think there are 3 or 4 kind of mentorships can happen in my view. One is a formal mentoring. And formal mentoring, you need bunch of things. So you need a mentor can be a sponsor who goes and talks about you to people. Could also be an editor who really hones your skill. Can also be a coach, which is really is going to tell you how to deal with people or situations which are more personal, emotional. And I think the fourth idea of a mentor is also architect, which helps you think big vision. And I feel all these 4 things are very important, and it's very difficult to find one person for this. All 4 will give you. So I think people should cut it into small pieces. And see, मुझे 4 चीजें ये सीखनी है. Could be another parts to it. Yeah. मुझे किससे मिलेगा? And I think simplify and look at, and people should not look for mentorship for names. It could be a friend also, because you can pick and slot that whom am I mentor it. So life coaches, mentors are everywhere to be found. The other principle which I followed funnily, which is I called anti-mentorship. These are people whose attribute I don't like at all. And I don't want to become that. So anti-mentorship you see all around you. That this is something I don't want to become. And I make a note in my head that, okay, if this is a person A is dealing with person B in particular manner, I'll make a mental note. This is not what I'm going to do. If I come to a position of authority and power, this is the last thing I would do. So again, that's another one which you can do it. So I'm not answering it. It's difficult to find it, but then you have to break it to simple pieces and figure out how you do it. And I think it's possible to do it. The real muscle to build is emotional intelligence. Because mentorship, aapko kitna bhi, if you would have read the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, and one of the things about it is, the beautiful thing about it, that nobody can teach you wisdom. It's through your lived experience. Applied knowledge. So, आप कितना भी mentorship की बात करोगे, आप लोग से मिलोगे, the person has to be ready. A teacher is as good as a student. So I think it's not a one-way conversation. I think people should just make it easier. Find a friend. I learn through so many of my colleagues, and I'm going to learn a lot through you. So it's just the ability to be that sponge who keeps on identifying good attributes all around you and just taking it all the time, and you will find a lot more richer yourself without a formal process. But there are great formal process of, I've gone through some formal processes. I'm still looking for a good life coach. I think I need one, but
maybe after this episode I can suggest you one.
yeah, but I'm looking for some good life coach. I think there is a lot of quality in getting a formal mentor.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. It's very difficult to find. So my is a quick short-term solution to still grow as a person in between.
So, a couple of takeaways which I thought, and please also help me recollect. One is, of course, have the vision of being a sponge, that कोई भी आ रहा है, आप उनसे जो भी attributes लेना चाह रहे हो, you sponge and you inhale and intake them.
Absolutely.
So that itself solves the problem, that you can learn from everyone. I think पहले कहीं भगवत गीता में भी I read that you can learn from a rock and a tree. Both
True.
are beautiful teachers. And secondly, आपने वो 4 coaches के या mentors के archetype बताए.
Right.
One was the coach type.
Right.
Second was the editor.
Right.
Third was the sponsor.
Right.
Maybe first was the sponsor. And fourth was the architect.
That's right.
ये आपकी लाइफ में चारों at different points of time आए थे?
मेरी पॉइंट इन टाइम में चारों आए हैं, और कुछ एक ही इंसान में 2-3 हैं, कहीं पे एक आध दो नहीं है, विच आई लर्न फ्रॉम अदर्स. बट मेरी लाइफ में एंटी मेंटोर्स बहुत आए. तो you know, that I think is a big thing. People should not forget. I'll tell you, Rohan, that हम लोग जब when we are associates, we don't like being dealt with in particular manner. And somebody does not speak to you with all the respect you deserve, or somebody gives you false timelines and deadlines. आप जब partner बन गए, then a position of authority, you should not repeat that. So you have to also learn it. I think reverse mentoring is also so important, especially people like you and me who are getting outdated on a daily basis. A 20-year-old person understands the ecosystem a lot more. मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम, एंड एटलीस्ट बैक एट द फर्म वी कीप ऑन डिस्कसिंग दैट 5 साल के बाद या 6 साल के बाद जनरेशन Z विल बी अ पार्टनर्स. हम उनकी ना हमें भाषा समझ में आ रही है, ना सोचने का तरीका समझ में आ रहा है. वी आर ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन टू देम दैट दिस इज हाउ वी वर्क, दैट्स हाउ यू शुड वर्क. They are very different. They have been socialized in a very different environment.
Correct.
So I think reverse mentoring is also equally important for people like you and me, and we have to reverse mentor very fast. My only thing is people who are at leadership position needs to just double down on their reverse mentorship right now.
We also have to connect to them.
Absolutely.
The way they are thinking.
Right.
And actually this thought of us and them is, in my worldview, is itself the cause for separation.
True.
The idea of reverse mentoring, for my understanding, is when you are intersecting your world with theirs.
Right.
And then there is sort of homogeneity being created.
Yeah.
But अगर हम ये देखेंगे, Gen Z is some other creature.
Totally.
There's an avatar for a Gen Z, and the millennials and the ones before that
True.
are completely different.
True.
तो उससे I think वैसी separation आ जाती है. No, but I really take your point that mentorship is a must, and in my life, and the person who we were speaking about just
Right.
before the episode has played a huge and a very positive impact. मैं उनका नाम नहीं लूंगा because he hates me for doing so. So I'll avoid.